Hello, BookTube. I have a bit of mail for you today, just a miscellaneous bit of mail stuff. I'm getting to the end of my video making block with you today, so I thought I would cover some recent arrivals, and we can open a package together. We have a periodical, for instance, for reasons that I don't quite remember. I resubscribed to Esquire, and I don't know why, because Esquire has very little in the way of content anymore. Once upon a time, it did, believe it or not, but it has very little anymore. Maybe they offered me a great deal, maybe like $5 for a year or something like that. But as luck would have it, the first issue that I got is a sports issue, so there's almost nothing in here that would interest me. But when it comes to lad mags like this, I always flip through the super expensive ads at the beginning in order to see, because at the beginning they have little short attention span stuff. Here are the things that you should buy, and there's usually something related to books, not much. And there is. The editors have 3 must-read books this spring. Adam Morgan, whoever he is, says, from big biographies to new takes on throwback sci-fi, there's something for every sort of reader right now. You got 3 books here, Adam. you couldn't argue for a whole page. But anyway, the 3 books are The Book of Records by Madeleine Tien, which I did not particularly like on my first read, but I'll give it another try. It's described as, when I read the first chapter of Madeleine Tien's new novel, I had an intense emotional reaction. Shut up. No one cares about your emotional reactions. You're not part of this. After a few more images from... A few more what? Chapters or emotional reactions? After a few more, images from the book began appearing in my dreams. Yeah, I'm sure they did. And I'm the king of Hawaii. Both responses are extremely rare for me. Yeah, like never. You didn't have that response. You're simply lying. But Tien's book is truly special. It's about a father and daughter migrating across the ocean. They discover a liminal island where other migrants live in buildings made of time. But the less you know before reading, the better. That would certainly be where you stand, wouldn't it, Adam? Since you can get that from the dust jacket. But anyway, let's move on to the next book here, which is called Metallic Dreams by Lincoln Michel, and I have not read this. It comes out in mid-May. In addition to having one of my favorite covers of the year, Lincoln Michel's new novel is a brilliant, funny, and pulpy homage to the golden age of science fiction. Set in Brooklyn, it's about a group of young writers who collaborate on a shared fictional universe called the Star Rot Chronicles, which readers glimpse in interstitials between chapters, narrated by the writing group's most deluded member. Okay, all right. Leaving aside the rhetoric there, I still think that sounds interesting. I might have to get a copy of Metallic Dreams. And then the third book is Ron Chernow's big new biography of Mark Twain, which comes out next month. After publishing definitive biographies of Alexander Hamilton, John Rockefeller, Ulysses Grant, and George Washington, the Chernow-Washington biography is not definitive, unless it's a definitive example of kiss-uppery. The 76-year-old Pulitzer Prize winner has turned his sights on the white-haired bard of the Mississippi. From Twain's birth in Missouri to his death in Connecticut, Chernow's new 1,200-page book, his Doorstopper, promises to be the most detailed account of the writer's life ever published. I don't know about that, but the Chernow Mark Twain biography is very, very good. And I would not be surprised at all if it wins Chernow a Pulitzer. That would not surprise me at all, even though that is now against the rules. Chernow is a man, and so is Mark Twain. You don't get to be on the right side of history by giving it a Pulitzer Prize, but I'd be willing to give it. I think there's a serious chance that it wins one. Anyway, despite that. And then I want to show you 2 books that arrived in the mail. I've been opening all my books off camera. That's probably not good, but considering that you're getting 10 videos a day, but anyway, 2 of those books really stood out, so I wanted to show them to you rather than just them show up in a reading. The first one is posthumously published here in English by Marco Santagata, who did one of the first books we saw on this channel, his Life of Dante in English. The English translation was one of the first books I talked about on this channel. This is his new book, his biography of Boccaccio. So Santagata died in 2020. Yeah, he died in 2020. And this is now out in English. And Boccaccio has been the subject of 3 major English language biographies. Before this, I have read them all, and they're all sitting there on the shelf, staring at me, saying, why do you need this thing, Chippy? You've got us. Why do you need them? But I'm going to give it a try. Of course, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to really bear down on it. I've actually dipped into the PDF already, but I'm going to really bear down on it. And Boccaccio is a favorite author of mine. I am blurbed on the Decameron. Opening a biography of Boccaccio in the mail is a tremendously fun experience. I really should have captured it on camera. And if that's a tremendously fun experience, well, then how much more so is it to open a biography of Horace on camera? This is by Peter Stothard, and this is Poet on a Volcano. This is a new, how's that for a cover? This is a new biography of the Roman poet Horace. I love Boccaccio, but Horace goes much deeper than that. Much, much deeper. So let's see here. Quintus Horatius Flaccus wrote some of ancient Rome's greatest poetry, melding languages and cultures with youthful ideas and realist recognition of the dictatorial world around him. Horace is famed for his fine phrases, lyric sex, and guidance on how to live, but he was a poet maddened by war, and many of his most self-revealing poems have rarely been read. He could be sublime and obscene, amusing and abusive, a model of moderation and anything but. In this book, the first modern retelling of Horace's life, Peter Stothard follows the poet from his birth as the son of a formerly enslaved father through his rise to the highest circles of Roman society. He shines a light on how shattering experiences in the war to save Rome's republic shaped the loyal servant and revolutionary artist he became. With astute scholarship and sympathy, the author follows Horace's rise from humble beginnings to the social and political heights of the autocracy he had fought to prevent. Everybody has to write dust jacket copy, right? So I'm not holding anything against. This has blurbs from Mary Beard, Simon Sebag Montefiore, and A.E. Stallings. Those aren't bad blurbs to have for a book. And ordinarily I would be scoffing a lot more, but this author has incredible credit in the Bank of Steve. That is our author. And he has written, his 2 of his last 3 books. One was The Hunt for the Killers of Julius Caesar. And the other, the much more recent one, was called Palatine. An alternative history of the Caesars. Palatine, an alternative history of the Caesars, which is not properly titled. I would argue that the search for the last assassin of Julius Caesar is also not properly titled. But Palatine was amazing. And really what it was a surrealistic biographical study of the Roman Emperor Vitellius. No wonder you didn't call it that, because nobody knows Vitellius. There was a year where Rome had 4 emperors. And Otho, Galba, and Vitellius were all as quickly yanked off stage as they'd been shoved on stage. Then you get Vespasian, and he stays for a while, and his sons after him. But Vitellius is an odd figure. He is a weird, larger-than-life, quite literally, grotesquely fat figure. And I wouldn't have thought that anyone could make a book out of him, much less a book as good as Palatine. So who knows what Peter Stothard will do with Horace? Who knows what he'll do? The only problem here is, we don't have much in the way to go on with Vitellius, or with a lot of the people who stabbed Julius Caesar. The famous ones, yes, but not the ones that aren't famous. But with Horace, we have a lot. Don't have a whole lot in the way of biography. That mention of the son of a formerly enslaved father, that's a guess. It's probably a good guess, but still, we don't know how much of that is poetic artifice on Horace's part. But we have a lot from the poems. The poems themselves are a lot. And this will be a different circumstance for me than the Vitellius book or the Assassins of Julius Caesar book, or he wrote a book about Crassus as well. This will be different than those to an extent, because I know this subject really, really well. Maybe better than the author. I hesitate to say that in this case, but maybe I do. And that's always a little awkward, especially if you're going to put forward a slightly iconoclastic interpretation of this figure. But it comes out in May. Both the Boccaccio book and the Horace books come out in May. I was overjoyed to get both of them, so I had to show them to you. And now we'll do the one package that we're opening, and then we'll be done with, I think, this is the 17th video that you're getting today, or whatever. So what do we got here? Oh, great. Okay. Fantastic. Oh, I didn't know it would be so pretty. Oh, how nice. Okay. This comes out in October. This is going to be a treat for some of you. Some of you nautically minded people, like Mark Richardson, is going to want a copy of this for the library, both his own and his own workplace up there in Vermont. This is by John Bacon, and it is called The Gales of November. This is a story of the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. And of course, those of you who know the once upon a time omnipresent song, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, will know the title comes from that. About the gales of November. On the big lake they call Gitchigumi. So let's see what we have here. This is the story of the Edmund Fitzgerald. How wonderful. And it's not a short book. That's terrific. So this is the 50th anniversary of the Edmund Fitzgerald. The point I'm trying to make here for those of you who were born in the 21st century is that there was a song called The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, believe it or not. And it is incredible, believe it or not. It was a hit, believe it or not. Casey Kasem talked about it endlessly. It ruled the charts a long time ago. If you go on YouTube and you type in The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, that song will come up. You might try prying open your vape-closed mind and listening to the song. I bet you'll find it really moving. Really good. It's a really good song, the type we used to make, where a song told a story and had a catchy rhythm. Judging from what I hear blasting out of people's car doors when I'm walking my dog, such songs are not made anymore. But once upon a time they were. You might want to listen to The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald and learn what the gales of November means. The searchers all say that it might made Whitefish Bay if they put 15 more miles behind her. Let's see. I'm just going to quote from that song. If only I were having a guest who could listen to this song endlessly and enjoy it as much as I do. But that's not possible. I'm going to put it on as soon as I'm done with this video. But let's see if I get through the pub sheet without quoting from the lyrics. At the height of America's post-war boom, no region was more vital to the nation's economic strength than the Great Lakes. It was the beating heart of the global economy, possessing all the power and prestige that Silicon Valley enjoys today. What an interesting take. This industrial dominance depended on Great Lakes freighters getting iron ore from the shores of Lake Superior to the factories of Chicago, Detroit, and Cleveland. Few endeavors have bound time so mercilessly to money as Great Lakes shipping did at its peak, and no vessel had been more perfectly designed to maximize both than the SS Edmund Fitzgerald. At 75 feet wide and 729 feet long, the Fitzgerald was at the time of her launch the largest ship on the lakes, and she repeatedly broke her own records for the largest loads, the fastest runs, and the biggest season hauls throughout her career. She was a champion heavyweight, sprinter, and workhorse, all in one. With a ship and good captain, well seasoned. Oh, damn. Okay, all right, fine. Let's go on. But on November 10th, 1975, when the storm of the century threw 100-mile-an-hour winds and 50-foot waves on Lake Superior, the mighty Fitz found itself on the worst possible place at the worst possible time. When she sank, she took all 29 men down with her, leaving the tragedy shrouded in mystery for half a century. The church bell chimed till it rang 29 times for each man on the Edmund Fitzgerald. In this book, the award-winning journalist John Bacon presents the definitive account of the disaster, drawing on more than 100 interviews with the families, friends, and former crewmates of those lost. Bacon explores the vital role the Great Lakes shipping played in America's economic boom, the uncommon lives the sailors led, and the sinking's most likely causes, and the heartbreaking aftermath for those left behind. Can it possibly be that this pub sheet is going to go its whole length without mentioning the song, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald? That can't be. The wives and the sons and the daughters, as Gordon Lightfoot sang in his unforgettable ballad. Focused on those directly affected by the tragedy, this book is both an emotional tribute to the Fitzgerald's captain and crew and a repulsive, page-turning narrative history of America's most mourned shipwreck. I This comes out in early October. I'm going to have a hard time not reading this tonight. Most Mourn Shipwreck, though. Purely America, sure. Purely America. I have to think that both the Lusitania and especially the Titanic, I don't know. I would quibble with that, but I'm going to love this book. I'm sure I'm going to love this book. So there you go. That is a little mail for you today. We have Boccaccio, we have Horace, and we have the gales of November, remember. When the witch of November comes stealing. A new history of the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. How incredible. So anyway, that is a little mail for you today. I'm going to wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.